Thank you. Wonderful to be here. Good afternoon. Can you hear me? No, you can't hear me. You can hear me now? Okay. Good afternoon. Higher. The volume higher. Yes. All right. Thought maybe you were pointing to heaven. You might notice we changed the backdrop of this, and out here it looks really good. It kind of looks like the stairway to heaven, right? But on camera, when I was online, you just see the bottom half of the stairs, and somebody texted me and they said, "Is he in a dungeon?" I go, no. So it looks much better now online. And hello in there in the wormhole to your home. Amazing technology. Welcome. Okay, so there is a lot of energy. A lot of energy. And that energy has to be released in some way. And it builds up, and you meet new people. And however, I would like you to experience the deeper sense of I and begin to communicate from that deeper sense of I. And we can even try that experiment right now, since the energy is up in the room and high. I'd like you to turn to your neighbor, maybe one that you haven't already been speaking to, if possible, and introduce yourself if you don't already know each other, or maybe even be someone behind you, or maybe get into a group of three. I don't have to do anything more. I do have to say, this group wins the prize. I have never experienced the group fully, just you knew what to do, and I didn't even finish explaining. You really do win. I've done this exercise many times, and I've always been able to get through the explanation of what to do. Boy, you guys are either really psychic, you just know, right? Okay, so you experience that. Now, I would like you to, so those who were talking, now you can just settle down and be quiet and have the other person speak, if they want to speak. But this time, before you speak, I'd like you to access that stillness within you first. So first, perhaps look in their eyes, acknowledge the being that they are, which is the being that you are when you become still. And then introduce yourself and begin to speak. Well, you again win the prize. It's like, you don't want to do this now, right? Okay, so first, just settle down, just look in their eyes before you start speaking. Have a moment of silence. Well, no, that was good. It was better. I did notice that some didn't go into stillness first and acknowledge the other. There was speaking right away. It would be nice to access it first, really fully access it first. And it could really only just be a minute or even 30 seconds. But it was about 10 seconds or less before the talking began. But that's okay. You guys, you have all this week to practice that. When you meet somebody and greet somebody, and just look at them, just for a moment. And it's saying hello without words. It's beginning to learn how to communicate without words. Some people who have done this exercise, and they start that off with the silence and looking, and they end up not even saying a word to each other. And generally, the volume of the group will go down when you're speaking from this still place within you. So those are just a few sort of notes to observe within yourself on when you begin to engage in a conversation with somebody. Because it is a habit to, we are conditioned to socialize. You know, we ask certain things and we got to, how you doing? You may not even want to know how they're doing, but we ask, how are you doing? So come from a place, from center, from the stillness, and see what organically and spontaneously arises that may be authentic rather than our conditioned self. So this is part of the awakening process, as we, if we can call it a process, where we begin to view within ourselves. So look to see what part of us is acting out our conditioned sense of self versus being in that stillness and responding authentically. And that might mean you don't even want to say a word. It's kind of like, being in that elevator and somebody else is in there and you're this awkward moment because there's silence. So it's learning to be comfortable with that silence where you don't have to say anything, but you're comfortable in that silence. So it's okay not to say anything. It's amazing to begin to witness within ourselves as we begin to awaken how much conditioning we really have and how we will act out that conditioning because there's nothing else that we know. But now we are coming to the place of dropping that conditioning, letting it go. It doesn't mean you have to let it completely go, because it probably won't. There's certain sort of cultural conditionings that we have that make existing with one another in a community smoother, so to speak. But it's recognizing when are you coming from conditioning and when are you being really spontaneous and authentic. And it's nice to begin to learn other people's conditioning because we're a multicultural country now, and there's traveling and there's so many different cultures out there that our minds will begin to, if we don't know that it's conditioning, our minds will begin to perhaps judge other people and not understand them. So we lack that understanding of their own conditioning. Whether they're aware of it or not is irrelevant, but you can be aware of it. It's only you that needs to be aware of it. They could be totally just in their conditioned mind, but you will know. And it also helps too in the just in how we can be with each other, and we learn from each other. I'll give you an example, which is, it's a conditioning, but it's an okay conditioning. It's not a problem. And I've said this example before, so if some of you have heard it, just bear with me. We were in Germany one time, and Eckhart decided not to go for dinner, and we went for dinner with a group of people. And the lady across from me, she said to me, "Is your water no good?" And I said, "No, my water's fine." And she looks again and she goes, "It's good, huh?" "Oh, yes, it's good." And then the man next to me leans over, and he's German too, but he's traveled more. And he goes and he whispers in my ear, "She's asking for a sip of water." And I go, no. She asked if my water was good. That's how Germans ask for a sip of water. And I went, "Are you kidding me? You mean I've denied Eckhart all these years a sip of my water because he hasn't directly asked?" I mean, we are here, we're from North America. We're from America. We're direct. We don't say, "Is your water good?" We say, "Hey, can I have a sip of your water?" And I went, "Wow, really?" So I looked at her and I said, "Is that true?" And she said, "Yes." I go, "Oh, here, have it. I don't need it." And then I go back to the hotel and I just wanted to confirm it, right? I go, is this true? And I tell him the story. He goes, "Oh, yeah." And I go, "Oh, man." I'm really sorry. I had no idea. No idea. And he has no idea too. That's his conditioning. That's how he asks. He's not a direct person who will say, "Can I have a sip of your water?" But when, I said, I'm from here, we ask directly. So now it's like he'll either ask directly or he might say, "Hey, how is your water any good?" And I know, now I know. So, and that was learned. That was learned in him. So we have our way of learning, which maybe is a direct way. And in some cultures, they might find that too forward, too direct, and they think that we're rude. So we have all these different ways, different conditionings. And I'm not judging them, good or bad, it's just the conditioning that each of us grow up with in our culture. So we learn what is that conditioning, and maybe we learn then to go beyond that conditioning as well. So, in other words, Eckhart learned now to directly ask sometimes, and other times he doesn't. I've learned, oh, he's asking for water, or somebody is asking for water, or whatever it is that they're saying, wanting, and then it's good. It's fine. So then there are some conditioning that will just simply kind of feel like it just doesn't fit you anymore. And I'm trying to think of an example. A conditioning that may be a pain body conditioning. So perhaps when you were young and you were called stupid. You were just called stupid. So now you have this conditioning and this belief that you are stupid, which then translate, of course, that will bring up some emotion in you, some pain, some sadness. And then you begin to see the world through this filter of, oh, I'm stupid. If you don't understand something, oh, I'm stupid. So my father used to say to me when I was younger, and I was this curious kid, and I just wanted to understand everything. And he'll say, you're too young to understand. So he wouldn't even bother explaining it to me. You're too young to understand. So I kind of went through my life growing up that when I would ask that, I felt in a way shamed to ask. And that I felt like as if, oh, I just won't be able to understand, because even that translating into being young, I could be older, but somehow it still stayed with me. So that becomes a conditioned form, something that it no longer serves us. So as we begin to awaken, we see what actually really serves us and what does not serve us. And some of that conditioning is really sometimes challenging to really let go of. So last year I did an online course called Awakening Through the Pain Body. Because most of us, as we awaken, it's not going to be as Eckhart had experienced, where one night virtually he woke up and his pain body was gone. His ego was just diminished. It was just gone. For most of us, it is this gradual process of awakening. Now, the pain body, which is old, accumulated emotional pain, can be quite troublesome in our lives, quite painful to in a way you can say re-experience. It's just that you hadn't experienced it when we were perhaps young, when something has happened to us. We weren't able to fully process the experience of the pain that we felt. So now, as we begin to awaken, we not only awaken to our true self, the joy of being, the love, the unconditional love within yourself, but we also awaken to the fact that there is a pain body there, and there is pain that is inside us, inside you. That is, in a way, now saying, see me, feel me, and release me. So this, we can say that truth or reality, and I mean relative truth or reality, because anything on the human level is all relative. There is the absolute truth and the absolute reality, which is the unconditioned, formless dimension of consciousness. And then you may have then the truth and reality of this moment. So if you are then experiencing your pain body, that is your truth in this moment. It's not the absolute truth of who you are, but it's a relative truth of what you're experiencing in this moment. So this truth or reality is avoided when it is painful. It's natural almost to do that. It's almost like, you touch a hot stove. You don't want to put your hand on and keep your hand there. It's painful, so it's easy to just go, you want to just take your hand off. So when the pain body arises, and because we have been avoiding it, we have been avoiding that pain probably all our lives, from the experience to this moment, then we can revise or change our patterns. So the pattern of avoiding, only by the willingness and have the discipline to overcome the pain. The willingness and the discipline to overcome the pain. Yes, that means that it oftentimes doesn't go away just like that. It will come back and will come back. And as Ram Dass said, if you think you're enlightened, go home and live with your parents for a week. And that's true. There was 1 year where I did not have a pain body attack. And I remember thinking, my pain body must be gone. I haven't had one pain body attack all year. Boom. It was almost like life was saying, oh yeah? You think you don't have a pain body anymore? I'll show you. And it was almost the moment that I had that thought. It wasn't quite the moment, but it was pretty close. It's like as soon as I had that thought, boom, that pain body. Somebody came along and somehow pushed the right button, and it humbled me completely. And of course, it's just not your parents. It could be your coworker. It could be, your spouse or anybody that you can come in contact with that can trigger the pain body. So the willingness and the discipline to overcome that pain means that we have to also then experience that pain, accept that pain. So we accept it, we surrender to it, we allow it to be there, and The moment that happens, it begins to transcend, dissolve, transmute. Remember, you are the consciousness, you are the presence, you are the stillness, you are the space in which the form happens. And it may be there's the form of a pain body attack. So the practice then becomes to be able to allow and accept the pain body to be there, and it's almost like going into meditation with it. Feel it completely, because what usually happens is that we want to resist it, and the more that we resist it, the more that it persists. It's something that has happened back in the past, that you are awakened enough to be able to now feel it completely, so that you can dissolve it and allow your true self to emerge, instead of being in that protective self, to build that shell around you, so you will no longer have to experience pain again. You will experience pain again. Even when you're fully awakened, you will experience pain again. There is no doubt about it, because that is the human realm. Things happen within the human realm. Loved ones passing away, so there's death that happens. That's sad. There's a wonderful Zen story where one of the Zen master's disciple finds the master sitting on a rock, and his head is in his hands, and he's weeping, just weeping. And the student goes, "Master, Master, why are you crying?" And the master looks up from his hands. He says, "Because I just found out my son has died." And he goes back to weeping. And then, of course, the student, his mind starts going, and he thinks, and he goes, "But Master, if you say all of this is an illusion, then why are you crying?" The master looks up and he says, "Because this is the saddest illusion of them all." So we still will experience emotion. We are human beings, so we will experience emotions. It's now we are awake enough to fully experience it, to allow it to be there and fully experience it, and not deny it, deny its presence being here. If it is here, or the pain body that comes up, and it's something old, but it's now time to begin to dissolve what is old, so we can stand in the center of our being and walk this earth as an awakened consciousness, just ready to accept what is, to be present with what is. And this life becomes this beautiful dance where there's joy, happiness, and where there's sadness, and where there's pain. So we can have the experience of pain without the suffering, the psychological suffering, which is caused by the resistance, resisting what is, resisting the emotion, resisting the pain that we're feeling in this moment. And sometimes, yes, life is challenging. As Scott Peck said in the book, the first line that he writes in his book, The Road Less Traveled, life is difficult. And it is. Not all the time, but it is. There's challenges out there. And without those challenges, we are not able to go beyond and grow. So those challenges, we begin to now welcome those challenges when they come. We don't have to look for them. They'll come all on its own. But when they come then, okay, wow, here's another challenge. So we meet it. And there's this play or this dance, we can call it, that life, our life situation, comes to us if we just become still. I mean, it comes to us anyways. We don't have to go looking for anything. It's amazing to see that when we become more and more still, that life brings us what we need. I'll give you another example where life brings you what you need. I was a late student, so to speak. So after my divorce, I went back to school, and I had already had this child at this point. And I was really short on money. I got student loans, and it got me through. I took my car off the road because I thought that would save on some money. But it was actually so stressful to be a single mom and have no car, be able to take my daughter to school, me to school, get groceries without a vehicle. And the first semester, so from September to December, I was so stressed out that I thought, oh my God, I just can't do this anymore. But I have no money. All I had $1,000 about there, let's just say. And I thought, and it was Christmas time, and I thought, oh man, it's enough money for my rent and enough money to buy groceries and a little bit left over to buy my daughter a Christmas present. I thought, what am I going to do? But something within me just said, go put your car on the road. And I even said to myself, am I crazy? I mean, I spend my rent and food money, I mean, for that month, and I won't have that? That's nuts. But something was just saying to do it. So I did it. Friends and family were telling me I was totally crazy, absolutely crazy. What are you going to do? How are you going to feed your daughter? How are you going to pay your rent? And I'm like, I don't know, but I just have to do it. And they're all rolling their eyes at me and, saying I was absolutely nuts. And through the logical mind, that is crazy to do. It was crazy to do through the logical mind. But I did it, not knowing what I was going to do, how I was going to pay the rent, how I was going to get groceries. And then I get a phone call. And a friend said, come down here. I have somebody who wants to give you a Christmas present. And I go, oh, okay. Well, who is this person? Well, you don't know them, but they want to give you a Christmas present. And bring your daughter. So we both go down, and there's this round wrapped present, very heavy. So I give it to my daughter to open up, and she unwraps it. She opens, and it was this cookie tin, round cookie tin. And she opened it up, and it was full of loonies. So if you don't know what a loonie is, in Canada, a loonie is equivalent to a dollar bill, $1. So we now have toonies, but back then we only had loonies. So it was full of loonies. And so she counted it out. And there was the exact amount plus maybe another $50 or so extra on what I paid on my car insurance. And I went, holy cow, that was a big lesson to realize that I'm being looked after here. We are being looked after. I had no idea, logical sense, it would have totally irrational to spend that money on car insurance. But something was just pulling at me to do it. Just do it, just do it. And I just did it, not knowing that I was going to get this present. That renewed my trust in faith in the divine consciousness, and realize that the divine consciousness sometimes does not work through the logical mind, what seems logical. But if we are just attuned to that intuition within us, and we follow through with that intuition within us, even though it doesn't make sense, then something else emerges. There is something else that is greater than what our minds could even conceive, that is ready to say, here, I'll lead the way. Just get out of the way and I'll lead the way. But oftentimes, we are conditioned to not listen to that intuition, to only listen to what is logical, listen to the mind, which is okay. I mean, I could have listened to the mind and then not had that experience. But the experience for me was far greater than receiving the money. The experience was that a trust was restored. The faith was restored. And that is within yourself. To have that trust and faith restored within you. And that intuition is only felt within you. You only know it within you. So the same thing with Eckhart writing the book, The Power of Now. I remember him telling me that people would tell him, that's been written before. Why bother doing that? Hundreds of books on spirituality. If he would have listened to those external voices, yes, there are hundreds of books written on spirituality. But if he would have listened, there wouldn't be the power of now. It wouldn't be this. So there's always somebody who will have an opinion, and it's okay to let them have their opinion. It's only within ourselves, are we going to follow that opinion or follow our own knowing, our own intuition? And this too is part of the awakening process, to be able to spiritually discern what is coming from spirit or what is coming from the mind, the conditioning, the opinions that people have, the opinions that you have within yourself, is be able to start to spiritually discern where it's coming from. And the intuition is usually a very quiet voice. It's oftentimes not really loud. In fact, I remember when that voice was telling me, no, you got to just do it. Just put your car on the road. It was very quiet. In fact, I didn't have to listen to it, and it would have been okay. It would have been okay because it doesn't mind what you do. They'll find another route for me to learn trust and faith. So this is where our whole beauty of the awakening that we have in store for us. And it's work. Sometimes it's a lot of work. And other times you feel like, oh my God, another thing I've got to learn. Oh no. But you just keep on going. You keep on going. I was listening, there was a questioner that had asked Eckhart. He was a construction worker, and he had 6 children, and he's present, he's able to be present at work, and then he comes home and he's really tired. So I was imagining that, just listening to him and just saying, oh yeah, oh man, I know where you're at. And I probably know where your wife is at too. I mean, I don't know whether your wife is working outside. It wouldn't matter outside the home. It wouldn't matter. But you come home and you're tired, and I can imagine your wife going, oh, because I only had 1 kid, and I remember doing this with my ex-husband. He'd come home, and he was actually in construction too. So I understand that physical exhaustion. But so are kids. And I remember wanting, as soon as he walked in the door, it was just like, here, you take her. Give me a break. So it's like you have 2 exhausted people here, and how you navigate through that. And it is a navigation. It is a practice and a trial and an error to see what will work. And maybe it is. I mean, with my ex-husband, of course, we were both unconscious. So you can only imagine what happened when he came home. But looking back, of course, and awakening, you can see, okay, yeah, of course, he's tired, I'm tired, and we have to find our way through this. And we have to find what will work. So, and it may be that, I'm just speaking for me, what I would have liked. I would have liked, yes, when my husband walks through that door, I want to just hand over the kids because I'm tired. But he's tired too, so it's almost like, okay, what would work? And this is what I was imagining. I'm like, because I thinking back on that time, it would have worked that he not come home. He goes somewhere, whether he goes to a park or sits in his car and he naps for 20 minutes, so that when he comes home, I can hand over the kids. Because it's like, he comes home and if I see him napping, I would just feel jealous and resentful. Sorry, I'm human, but that's how I would feel. So stay away, become rested, then come home, and then I can hand this over to you, and I can go and rest. So you have to find that way and navigate, and it is a process of having to find something that works for 2 human beings who grew up in 2 different households and have 2 different sets of conditioning. So I had to find that way with some things with Eckhart in a relationship. He's human too, okay? He's human. We're human. And relationships are sometimes challenging. It's not, you're enlightened and hey, that's it. It's all smooth sailing all the way. There's the cooking, the cleaning. Okay, we don't have kids together, but they're cooking, the cleaning, the garbage, and everything else, the everyday life of things. Now, I'm from the generation who was brought up where the woman does everything. So when I began my relationship with Eckhart, that's what I thought I had to do, was everything. He's a European man, grown up in that generation, right, where the woman does everything. That's his conditioning. He had his conditioning, I had my conditioning. But I'm also had grown up here in the West, where the women's movement happened. So I might have had the conditioning of I do everything, but there was a conflict inside me of, wait a second here, I shouldn't have to do everything. I work as well. Why should I do everything? So here I was inside being conflicted of, okay, but I've got to be a good partner, a good wife, and what I learned what a good partner and a good wife is that you do everything. So I started to feel resentful. And okay, you know how long it might take for training to happen for a child? Well, it's the same thing with adults. It takes a while to train and decondition yourself, right? So it takes time, and it takes having to be present, and it takes having to be, to do it over and over again, because you just don't learn one time. It's very rare where you'll master something one time. When you learn an instrument, it takes time. Okay, you learn how to cook, it takes time. You even learn how to clean, it takes time to learn how to clean well. So we have to then begin to navigate. And how are we going to navigate through this consciously? And it's through sometimes trial and error. It's through sometimes having to remind. So I guess the point I'm trying to make here is that as we awaken, it doesn't mean that the life situation will always be blissful. There will be challenges, but it's how we meet those challenges, how we overcome those challenges. And for everybody, it may be different. So I may suggest one thing, but it may not work for you. But you are consciousness itself, so all you have to do is go within, and there will be an answer there. The answer will come. It may come through you, it may come through somebody else making a suggestion, and you try it. Oh yeah, that works, or oh no, it doesn't work, so you find something else. And remember, you got two human beings here. And if you've got a family, you got a family then, where everybody has their own personality. Everybody comes into this world with their own karma, so to speak. So we try to then navigate that. And it is sometimes challenging. But it's okay. Challenges are okay. They're here to awaken us and to be able to then respond consciously. Because if we can meet those challenges at home, we can meet those challenges, the bigger challenges that are in this world. How will we change this world? We change this world through ourselves. Change has to come from within first. The awakening has to come through and within you. You can't just go point the finger and say, they need to awaken, or our partner needs to wake up. No, we need to wake up ourselves. It's so easy to point the finger and just say, oh yeah, I'm more awakened and they need to wake up. They need to wake up more. No. Because when we are awakened, we actually then, I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but we won't mind that the other person is not awake. I'm not saying that that relationship or that communicating with an unawakened person is going to be easy. It won't be. But we won't mind. It's only there to show us, oh, I got to be more and more present. And if it starts activating your own pain body, because that's what pain bodies like to do, they don't like to be alone in their own pain. They want to grab hold and say, I want you along with me on this ride. So it activates your pain body. If you're unable to stay present and non-reactive, then maybe it's just time to kind of leave for a while. Go for a walk. That will infuriate the pain body, yes. But it's okay. Allow them to experience their own pain, because that's what they have to do. We each have to experience our own pain. There's nobody out there who can fix you but you. Even if you have somebody who is awakened and they sit with you while you're experiencing your pain body, it's still you that has to experience it. It's still you that has to then transcend it. The other person can't experience it. Only you can fully experience it, and experience it fully so that you can take the next step and overcome it. So that you can transcend it, so that you can transmute it. So what we are doing here is it's taking that pain, which is energy, and it's like making it, turning the base metal into gold. So we use that pain body energy, and then it transmutes into this other, you can say, pure energy and a creative energy that life can use and then create through you. But the more that we resist it, the more that we don't want to experience it, it just keeps coming back until we are willing to feel it over and over again until it's not a problem. Oh, my pain body is up. And the more that we can experience it and feel it completely, the faster it goes. And this is our practice. So you may have had a spiritual experience. So I noticed that Eckhart, I heard him say, the book that Jack Kornfield wrote, after the ecstasy, the laundry. Well, we're doing laundry. We are. That's it. You get to experience the ecstasy, yes. You get to experience the peace, yes. The love, yes. But there's still laundry to be done. And there will always be laundry in some form or another. But the laundry becomes, you can say, easier and easier to do. It's an acceptance. Oh, okay, I've got my laundry to do today. Here it is. Willing to be with it, feel it completely. And some little exercises or tricks to help you stay present during the laundry period. Or say, for example, you're having a heated discussion with somebody, maybe your significant other, And you can see their pain body arise, and you can see the pain body start to arise in you. And what can you do? What little trick can you do to remain present, to stay in your own body, in your own energy field? And you can just simply, just even if you just rub your fingers like this, or stand there and just fold your hands together and rub your thumbs together. Or if it gets really bad, you can stand there on one leg. It's pretty hard to have an argument and stand on one leg. So that helps you just to stay grounded and in your body instead of having yourself get activated and into your head. And then, of course, when you're in your head and the pain body's activated, it's so easy then to just explode. So it just helps to be able to feel your breath, feel your body, feel the inner body. Touch some part of your body as somebody as you're in that heated discussion. Lift your leg, even if it's a tiny bit. If you lift it up higher, your partner might go, "What in the hell are you doing?" "I'm just trying to be present. You want to try it with me?" It's really hard to have an argument then. So as we go about our daily lives, yes, we can bring in meditation, a sitting meditation, into our everyday life and have that as a practice. And it's a wonderful practice. And I recommend that practice. However, we do have to get up off that chair or that cushion and attend to our everyday life. So we begin to then bring in that meditation into our daily life and start with little things. When you're doing the dishes, feel the water on your hands. So get out of the mind. Just feel your hands touch the dishes, touch the cloth, the suds. What do the suds feel like on your hands? Or you have a sip of your water. Do it consciously. And we start little by little, these easy things, until that we can then build it up so that soon enough we remain conscious through things that are more challenging. And I recommend that when your phone rings, don't just answer it right away. Become present first. So just as we did that little exercise here, I'm being still, come into stillness before you speak. So the phone rings. Wait for at least 3 rings before you answer it. The phone's ringing. And usually we don't have to run anymore for the phone. It's right here in our pockets. So just, set your ringer so it doesn't go to voicemail on 2. Set it to 4 or 6 or something and just become present. Feel that inner body. Feel that stillness before you begin to speak, before you answer the phone. So these are little things that you can do throughout your everyday life. And same with getting in a car. When you get in the car, it's so easy to get in the car, turn it, put your seatbelt on, turn it on, and go. So get in the car. And it'll take some extra time, yes. It will take some extra time. But we have all the time in the world. Only our minds will say we don't have enough time. And of course, with this technology and the buzz of the feeding of you have to do things now, you have to respond right now. I'm in a hurry, so you have to get it done now. Just when you're not in a hurry, And there's plenty of times when you're probably not in a hurry, we just don't recognize it. But then just take that moment, get in the car, sit down, take a breath. Reach over, put on the seatbelt, take another breath. Turn on the engine, take a breath. Put it in drive, look in the mirrors, drive off. Eckhart to this day does that practice. The first time I saw him do this, I went, what the fuck? Why is he taking so long? I mean, he gets in the car and it's like, okay. And I'm like, okay, well, get going, will ya? And he's... To me, back then, it felt like eternity to just get going. But then we talked about it because I'm like, wow, you really take a long time to get going. And we talked about it. And then when he explained, I understood. I went, oh, what a great idea. That's great. It's a great practice. A great practice to do. Because we are literally so trained nowadays to just move, get going. And our devices, it doesn't help. I mean, I remember when we started to do, these little sort of, I don't know what you would call it. We had to do little short programs for apps and stuff like that, or for our website. And it couldn't be longer than 20 minutes. And we're like, what? Well, that was back then. That was many years ago. So when it first was starting to come out, and it was a big thing to now, people were using the internet more and more. 20 minutes. They said, well, that's the attention span of people now. And now I just heard the attention span for people is less than 10 minutes. 10 minutes. I mean, you can't build a building in 10 minutes. It takes, back then when they built cathedrals, it took over 100 years, more than one lifetime. We don't have that attention span anymore. So it's like, okay, you can only do a 10-minute meditation. Oh, wow, okay, 10-minute meditation. Sometimes it takes longer to become present, especially when you've been so active in the mind. So I would like to advocate in the practice the return of just being able to take your time to start being able to regain that focus and that concentration. And we can do that through just taking our time to do things. Take that breath, those few breaths before you answer the phone. Take a breath each time you do something. Can you even feel your breath? You might even do this in yourself and notice, wow, when was the last time that I was conscious of one breath? And Eckhart says it takes one conscious breath to become present. One conscious breath. And how many times have we tried this one conscious breath? We'll inhale, and then suddenly a thought will come in and we wander with the thought, and then we'll go, oh, geez, I wasn't even conscious of an exhaling. We did exhale because, we breathe, right? Otherwise we'd be dead. So this breath just happens and occurs all on its own. The intelligence of the body, the breath just occurs all on its own. But oftentimes we are not even aware of one conscious breath. If we can become aware of one conscious breath, we can become present. It doesn't mean that the mind won't come in again, because it will, and the mind has, this momentum, and it's almost like training that mind to, whoa, slow down here, and Let's just breathe. Let's just focus. Let's just pay attention to breathing. Pay attention to my body. Pay attention to the inner body, that feeling of aliveness within that Eckhart speaks about, that is here, right now, always here. And that can be used as a portal to stillness. Oftentimes we're not aware of that, or we only give ourselves 10 minutes in the morning and then just forget about it the rest of the day. So continue with that 10 minutes in the morning, but now integrate your everyday life and just bring one conscious breath to each activity you do. So when you finish an activity, stop. Take one conscious breath. Take 3, even better, conscious breath before you move to the next activity. Because we are really literally being trained to be monkeys. And it is, they call it monkey mind, you just go, 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 go. So now we need to untrain, unlearn what we have learned. Unlearn the conditioning. Unlearn that momentum and that movement of, I don't even know what you would call it. It's this momentum that just keeps on going faster and faster and faster. No wonder we're stressed out. It's going beyond our own bodily capabilities to be able to keep up. We can't keep up. So return to presence, return to your own body and listen to your body, because we will drop. We'll just drop. We'll have a nervous breakdown if we keep up the way that this is going. And the thing is that these people who have invented these devices already know that. They know it. They know it's addictive. And they've even said that it is addictive. And I watch myself just as, the internet and all these devices came, and I was thrilled to get, I had the first iPhone. Eckhart had the flip phone, and I just wanted this iPhone, and it was so cool, and I'm just like, wow, you can even play games on this. Soon enough, I'm playing these games, and then I'm like, and he's going, hello. I'm not there because I'm playing these games. I finally had to delete the games from my phone because I went, wow. And now they have these games, and because, you're getting older and my memory was kind of not so good anymore. And so my naturopath says, well, there's this great app. It's called Luminosity, and it helps you with memory. Well, I became addicted to Luminosity. And I'm like, holy cow. So it's this addiction that we now have to break free of so we can return to our own natural and authentic vibration. Because right now we are attuning ourselves to the vibration of our devices. And that's it's a frequency that is actually not really good. And I experienced this just actually last year. We went on a cruise. And on this cruise, of course, there was no cell phone in the middle of the ocean. No cell phone. They had, the radio type of transmission where you can get the internet and stuff, but it was very sporadic. It didn't work all that well. But, you try to go on your phone and it's frustrating because it was very slow, or it took a very long time, or it didn't work. So I ended up putting away my phone. Oh my God, I could not believe how my body felt totally relaxed. First time in many years, because we live with our phones, right? We do work on our phones. And my body felt very, very relaxed. And I went, wow, this is the most relaxed I felt in a long time. And yet I take many times throughout the day, periods where I do relax, but I realized that having that device nearby did something to my body. That when I came back home after, I think we were on the cruise for about 2 weeks, maybe 2.5 weeks. So when I came back home and I turned on my device for the first time so I could look at my texts and emails, my head actually spun. I felt dizzy, and I had to lay flat on the floor. And I went, whoa, this is what the device is doing to me. And we don't realize it because now we have become addicted to it. We have become attuned to it. It's almost like without this device now, we don't even know what to do. How many times have you ever forgot your phone and then you feel so lost without it? I walk out my door, I forget my phone. I went, oh no, I forgot my phone. And it's like, well, what did I do before when there were no phones? I just drove and went, here I'm like, oh man, I forgot it. So I would like to recommend and challenge you for the rest of this week to put away your phone. Lock it in your suitcase and fully experience just being here, being with yourself, and be able to kind of realign yourself to the consciousness that you are, to your own vibration, because we each have this vibration. We are energy, but each of us carry, depending on our level of consciousness, a certain vibration that we carry within us. So that's the challenge for this week, is to put away those devices. If you have family, call them up and say, hey, I'm going to be unavailable. I'm turning off my phone. And then you can even watch the reaction of the person you're telling that you won't be available to, and you can even watch your reaction in yourself. And then go about even the day and feel how lost you feel without your device. But that feeling of lostness is that addiction to that device. Who are you, and who are you really? So the teachings of Ramana Maharshi, his question and his teaching is, who am I? Who am I? And not answering through the conceptual mind, because if you answer through the conceptual mind, that's not who you are. You are not a thought. You are not an emotion. You are not even this body, yet we have a body, yet we have thoughts that come through, yet we have emotions that arise. So like the device, if we only pay attention to the body, the mind, the emotion, we forget and lose who we really are. But if you can put that aside, know that it's there, know that you have your device locked away in your suitcase, know that you have thoughts, know that you have emotions, but your attention, at least some of your attention, is within the stillness that you are, so in the space consciousness that you are, then all this other stuff, the mind, the emotions, the events that happen, it's like it becomes secondary, it becomes relatively important. Not so important, but relatively important. Because when you don't know yourself, all this becomes important. Everything. Your emotions, your mind, your thoughts, your opinions, your ideas, they become important. But this is the ultimate importance, is the stillness that you are. And when you recognize and sit in the stillness that you are, then this other stuff just happens. You allow it to rise, and you allow it to go. Yes, you'll have to experience it. Yes, you'll have to feel what arises. Because there's always different things that arise. You feel it and you let it go. You experience it. You may even think about it. You may have some thoughts about it. But it's not that you take your thoughts so seriously. You go, oh, okay, that's an interesting thought, or that's an interesting opinion that I have about this. Okay, let it go, but return to presence. So the practice then becomes not giving 100% of your attention out there, but keep some attention within. So you have some attention within. You can feel your breath. You can feel your body. You can feel the sensations in your body. You can feel the inner body. You can feel the stillness within you. And yet, all of this is happening. You're not going to lose yourself in the world of form. The world of form will occur, and it will continue to occur. But you're here. You're grounded in the present moment. You're grounded in the stillness that you are. And yes, there will be challenges. Life will come around and it will test you. Okay, are you present? Have you let this go yet? It'll show you. And then we begin to welcome those challenges, because it only shows us, it humbles us actually. If we could see it as that, if we stop thinking that, oh, once we awaken, this is it, nothing else should bother me the rest of my life, which is just a thought. There's only ever this moment, and this moment is only when we can awaken, is this moment here. But the mind might come in and will say, but I want what Eckhart had. He awoke virtually overnight. I want that. Well, see? I mean, I wanted that too. Wouldn't that be lovely? Well, that's a thought. And it's a lovely thought. Is it going to happen? Don't know. Just have to be here right now. Just right now. If you can awaken right now, then you've done it. And then you watch the momentum of the mind. It'll come in, of course. And it will say, oh, but I want to keep that. Have you had a meditation, and it was a very profound meditation. And the next day, you can go and sit during your meditation, and you want what you had yesterday, man. It's like, oh, I want that. So the more that you hang on to yesterday, the more that you are not present, and you will never, ever experience a profound moment again, because you're still back here. So let go of the experience that you had. No experience is it. You can have a wonderful experience, and it's absolutely beautiful, but even the experience is not it. So I was in India, and when I would travel to India, and I'd go around to all these different spiritual teachers and gurus, whatnot. And I was I had two experiences that were really close together. It was very profound and wonderful. One, I was in a Christian church, and these birds were in this church because there was a hole in the ceiling, so the birds would fly in, and I'd look up at these birds, and these birds, I was just like, oh my God, these birds are like they're angels. And then I was at an ashram and standing in line and listened to, I can't remember what it's called, something like Artie, where they play this beautiful music, and then I looked up and it was like the sky. I literally saw this. The sky opened up and I saw angels, and it was like, wow, is that even God up there? You know, it was just like so wonderful, and I felt so peaceful. And then that evening, I went to go visit a spiritual teacher, and I told him of my experience. And I said, oh, I saw God. I saw angels. And he goes, that's not it. And I go, no, what do you mean that's not it? I go, no, I saw God. I saw angels. The sky opened up and I saw God. I saw angels. That's not it. And his wife, who was sitting there, she just thought, oh my God, this is going to go on forever. I'm going to go to bed. But it didn't. I think it lasted about 15 minutes. But that's all he did was repeat. That's not it. Didn't say anything else to me. But I was convinced. And I was trying to convince him that, no, I had a spiritual experience where I saw God. I saw angels. No, that's not it. And then it finally dawned on me 15 minutes later. I go, oh, of course, no spiritual experience, no matter how profound, is it. I am still stuck there in that experience, and that, yeah, in that moment, that felt like it, but that was just the manifestation of whatever it was that I was experiencing. And this moment now is all there is. And this is it right here, right now, not in form, but in the formless dimension where forms happen. Yes. And they could be profound, yes. Or they could be miserable, yes. But no experience is it. And I went, wow. Can't hang on to anything. Have to let it all go. Nothing. No thing is it. Anything that's manifested is not it. Wow. And then you're left with nothing, and that is scary. That became scary. It was just like, oh no. If nothing is it, then what is there? There's nothing. And my mind, it was racing around trying to find something to grasp onto, something to hold onto. And that's what the mind does. It will run around to hold on to something, because that's what the ego does. That's how we forget who we are. As soon as we grab hold of something and hold on to it so tightly that nothing else, this profound moment, which is no thing at all, can be realized and can be sensed and felt and directly experienced in this moment. So Jesus said, be like little children. And it's true, little kids can be so in the present moment. They don't think about the moment ago. If something happens, then it's gone, and then they're here with you right now. Dogs are a perfect example of also just being present with you here and now. They're always happy. They're happy to see you all the time. You could be gone 2 seconds, you walk out the door, and then you forget something, you come back in, and it's like, wow. You know, it's just here, present. So this is where we are beginning to come to and begin to feel comfortable being in that elevator silence, being in the nothingness, even though things happen. But we practice, and we keep practicing until it's not even a practice anymore. It's just a way of being here in this world, not of this world, but being in this world, where things happen and where shit happens and where joy happens. It all happens. It's a whole spectrum of happenings. But we allow it to come and allow it to go. Allow it to come and allow it to go. And you will find as you become less addictive to these devices that it's easier to be alone. So these devices keep us from being with ourself. It's amazing. These devices are wonderful and they're helpful. In fact, they have apps to help you to become present. But ultimately, we have to put that app away. We have to put that device away and just be here and begin to learn to listen to our own intuition, our own self. We are the teacher. We are the student. We are all, whether it's manifesting through you or manifesting outside of you. It is you. I am you. You are me underneath the form dimension. Yet we have the form dimension, various form dimension. It's quite lovely because we get to see the beauty and the variety of all these different forms. It would be quite boring if we were all the same. So it's wonderful and beautiful. So can we now come to that place where we are within ourselves and we act from that self, the true self, so that we can begin to relate to other human beings or other beings, even animals, in a conscious way, and then have that movement, the conscious movement, begin to take over within us, like we are the instrument in which life flows through, so that then we can create a new earth. Because we are experiencing that. That is our experience within ourselves. The presence, the stillness within, coming out through a touch, through words, through the words, not always conceived from the mind. Yes, consciousness uses the mind, uses the words, but it's not the conditioned mind. And maybe it won't use any words, because the deep I, the consciousness that we are, is prior to any thought, any form. So maybe then we sit here, or you sit there with somebody communicating, but you're not communicating in words, the traditional sense of communicating. There becomes a different communication, a communication that is through silence. I believe there are some silent tables set up in the dining hall that I'd recommend that, you kind of just go there. Of course, not at once, because I don't think there's that many silent tables. But, you go there at least once. Try it at least once. And if you would like to even take this silence deeper, so you can really experience yourself, put away the device and really experience yourself, and that is be in silence the whole day and truly be in silence. If you want, maybe there might be some name tags or not name tags, but tags that you can put on yourself. Or somebody talks to you and you'll go like this, just to mean that you're in silence. Now, of course, don't let the ego come in and the mind and be selective and say, oh my God, there's that person coming up. I'll just go like this. So if you choose to be in silence, and really be in silence. And I invite you to do that for just one day, a half a day, or just even at the silent table, and to experience just the chatter that may be all around you, but just be in silence. Begin to feel the rhythm, your own vibration. So, on that note, let's just sit in silence for a moment before we go to dinner and experience a new way of communicating. So remember, with each activity that you do, just to be still. Just take one conscious breath before you move to the next activity. Thank you. Namaste.